You know what we're going to call this podcast? Three Beards.
We grew beards because of you.
Cool. Well, at least blink when you say it. Are you going to bring an intensity that kind of kills all fun in the room? Because I love that new podcast. Let's get to the heart of it. You know, I always am drawn to the joke writers because I like to, I love the jokes.
I've heard you say that. You said that in the green room the other day. You're like, I don't like storytellers. I like joke writers.
Yeah, no, and like I'm not a good storyteller, and I'm definitely I'm an old hack, but I love a joke, and I love like that. Even though jokes are kind of like out right now, it's all about like passion and truth, and all this political stuff. It's like the joke in my mind always like I just love it. I just love a new joke. I like a dirty. I like a clean, and there's like it's almost like a dying art form, this joke writing thing. It's
Yep.
like it's like I don't know what the audience. They're like great listeners, but I would love to see them like kind of kick it up for the jokes.
Yeah, it's.
What do you think about that?
I was talking to Stanhope about it.
Can we talk about Doug for like 2 minutes? Because we talk about him outside.
Yeah.
When you talk about like real comics, like Doug is probably, I think of him as like, the last of the Mohican. Like he's the real comic. He has no, he never pulls back. He totally, he does it the way it should be done, which is just like, he fucking lays it all out there. And, I always look to him as like, whenever I think I'm doing something hacky, I'll call him and I go like, do you think this is hack? What do you think? Because he really, I think, is like my rudder,
Yeah.
But I'm so like on the other side. I mean, like I'm like totally 8 p.m. TV land compared to Doug now. I mean, like he really is.
He's really, my wife has said this, and I think it's the reason Doug and I are friends is sometimes when I'm, because you don't get a lot of friendships out on the road. You just tour.
Looks like someone needs a hug.
Yeah, I know. I did this weekend. I could have used a hug in a car ride yesterday. But
a lot of well, that's the cool thing. Like we did the Crapshoot Comedy Festival, and like tip of the hat to the people, Paul and all those guys who put that together. Because like a festival in Vegas, it's like that's a difficult thing. I mean, there's so many other distractions and things to do, and like to do a comedy festival there, I think is a great idea. So
how did you meet Doug? I'm sorry.
How did I meet him?
Yeah.
Oh, I met him in Montreal. Like I met him in Montreal like 100 years ago, and that was when Montreal was really.
Segura's calling. I think he's out front.
Oh, cool.
Hey, you out
We
front?
could bring him in as a special guest.
Just come around the side, open the side gate. You can reach over and
hang a left at the chicken coop.
It.
You're going to
we're
see
in
the
the
tree
back,
house.
Mancave.
Keep going. Then there's a lemon tree. Pick a lemon and make a wish.
I wanted Tom to be here because he is the.
I've worked with Tom a bunch of times. He's super
the
strong.
last like real comic. I don't think he's ever been on TV.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
All he does is tell jokes and do specials.
Wow.
And when we were talking about,
Well, don't you consider doing a special being on TV?
No, because they've never been on TV. They're on Netflix.
Oh, really? But hey, Tom.
Buns.
Well, he was just giving you the ultimate praise and yet also belittling your work.
Yeah.
I think Netflix is TV, don't you?
Yeah, it's TV now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the standing or? Oh.
Am I going to what?
I thought you would stand.
I was standing over you, yeah.
All right. We're talking about Stanhope.
You know what we're going to call this podcast? Three Beards. Three
We grew
Beards.
beards because of you.
What's that?
We grew beards because of you.
Cool. Well, at least blink when you say it. Are you going to bring an intensity that kind of kills all fun in the room? Because I love that new podcast. Let's get to the heart of it. To be honest, like I still sucked. I sucked as a headliner for sure, and I also didn't really like know what I was doing. So it was like kind of a
When do you feel like you knew what you were doing up there?
About 2 weeks ago, right before the Crapshoot Comedy Festival.
Is that the stuff you're working
on stage with Brad at the Crapshoot?
Is that what the stuff you're working on for your new hour?
I was hoping we could all talk about this because I'm definitely due another hour of something, but I've been like working on like all this other bullshit that like I just throw money at it and like like I'm looking at your house and I'm jealous. I'm like I wish I had a tree house and a chicken coop, but I spent like $70 grand on some weird web thing that I probably will never be seen. But I would say that like in 2018 I'd like to do a new hour for Netflix or something like that. But you guys tell me like compared to like 2 years ago, do you have people coming up to you going like, I saw that hour or like?
Right now,
yeah.
hours. Tom's probably the brand for that because I think all of his fans discovered him on Netflix.
See, that's great.
A lot, yeah.
That's great.
And then through that, discovered him on his podcast, and I think Rogan's outreach. I think his podcast has
Helps
been
a
really
lot.
big.
He's really, like, his reach is so wide that we get, like, whatever, trickle down effect from
Joe. Yeah,
from
well, Joe is unique all the way around, both on and off the stage, and like what he does on his podcast is pretty intense and amazing, and the way he does connect. Because when I meet somebody who says, "Hey, I heard you on Joe's podcast," it's like I know that person is a comedy fan.
Yeah.
They know a lot about comedy.
That's
you know?
right. Yeah,
So,
they do.
There you go.
Did I remember? You were my first feature week ever.
At Brea.
Yeah, was
There you
with
go.
him. And I
Brea
remember
Improv, the proving grounds, as they call it.
the tough love. I did a second week with him like a year later.
Yeah.
And I did one joke from the year before, and he goes, "What, do you want to be an actor or something?" I was like, "What?" And he goes, "It's been a year. You can't write 20 new minutes." I was like, "Oh, Jesus!"
Yeah, that was
But
after a lot of drunken babbling at
Yeah,
me.
but I mean,
I like how you half told the story like a chick, but no, I know now you slam Brea hardcore. In fact, you get top bids at the Stone Ice Cream Parlor across the street. That's the saddest part of that club, when you're like, I didn't sell out, but I look across the street and there's a line around the block for ice cream, because comedy will never beat ice cream.
Do you remember working with me in Miami?
Years
My
ago,
daughter had just been born. I just on Last Comic Standing,
Coconut Grove, right?
Coconut Grove,
Yeah.
and you were sick, and the whole weekend you were like, I know. Well, we'll definitely have a drink. We'll definitely party one night, I promise. And then Sunday night, you're like, all right, here we go.
It was nuts.
Yeah, and it was insane. But
Good.
that very first show, my biggest goal was like, you're the first comic that I watched where I understood. I was like, oh wait,
What not to do?
no,
Say it. Say
we used
it.
to go. Me and Dimitri Martin used to go down at 11:35. You always did the 11:35 or 11:10 spot
Sure.
at the Cellar, and we'd go watch you every single night. And and then that I worked with you, and I was like, I just want Attell to be like, hey, great set, man.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I go up. I do my. I think you did 2 shows on Thursday and 2 shows on Friday.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Luckily if I can do one show on Thursday now.
And I did the same act Thursday, both shows, and I did really well. And then Friday, early show, I do it again, and I get off stage, and you're like, oh, are you going to write a joke? Holy shit. And you're like, I get it, you can kill. How about telling some jokes?
You sure I said that? Here's the point of it. When you're middling, you don't have to close the show, so why not experiment? But evidently you guys don't feel that way. But that's okay. To be upset years later for being a coward is great. Now, I think even Dimitri would have turned the page, literally, since he draws, and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to try a different etching here. Maybe a shade or hue.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.